Good morning. Is it 8
Morning.
over there? Well, is it 9 over there? What time is it over there?
It's 9 a.m.
So 1 hour difference. And this is right before you go to like work, right?
Yep.
That's great. I mean, you don't really
I don't
go
go.
to work
I don't go
physically.
anywhere. Yes, I'm just
Yeah.
staying right here.
Great. Oh well, it has changed quite a bit since last time we talked, and I always want to do this that at the beginning of our call, just have like introduction for each creator. So do you mind, Julia, introduce yourself? Now your role has changed a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so last time we spoke, I was freelancing and I was already kind of contracting for Adobe and working for them on different streaming projects. But thank you. Thanks. I don't need that anymore. But I was working on different streaming projects with Adobe, and then I applied for an opportunity, and now I'm a senior content designer for them. So I'm really excited to jump into a full-time role, and I was kind of wondering how this is going to be, but it's so far it's really exciting. We have a lot of resources, do research and stuff like that I didn't have the chance to do with my freelance clients, because usually they were like small to mid-sized businesses. And now I'm working with this huge client that has a lot of resources, a lot of assets, and working directly with researchers and testing my designs and seeing if they actually work. So super exciting. Yeah, super
That's
fun.
really cool. So does that mean you are actually testing the newest software, or like as a part of like the research team for the new upcoming tools?
So I'm not actually designing the tools themselves. I'm working more on the digital side, where we're designing the web experiences and all the different kind of graphics that go into those experiences. That's what I'm doing. I'm still doing graphic design. It's just called content design here because it's kind of the content of the UX. So we are filling the image boxes basically with graphics. So yeah, and
And
it's
then
been
you're
super.
still, sorry.
And yeah, so what I wanted to add is that I'm specializing in something that's quite specific at Adobe, and it's called, so I'm working for the Learn and Help team, and we are kind of creating graphics that help people learn about the product already. So we are communicating specific learning moments with graphics, which is another kind of really specific part of design at Adobe.
Yeah, because you probably need some infographic stuff. More, I feel like it's more like a technical part of graphic design, because it's not, it needs to serve a purpose and the functions. It can be just like, fun looking, which is harder, I feel like, in my opinion.
It's not really, it's actually pretty strategic, because we do work with the strategy department, and we're getting research done before we even start designing something. We always try to understand the audience. And I am still doing kind of like the branding part as well, where I'm trying to find guidelines for what I'm designing, so that everything is kind of replicable, and any future designer who works on what I'm doing has the opportunity to kind of pick up those rules and those guidelines. So I'm still kind of doing pretty much the same design process like I did with my freelance clients. Just that it's for a huge client, and I'm still going through the same process. I'm still going through some research. I'm still going through the ideation phase. I'm presenting my designs to them, and then we're selecting an art direction, and then I'm designing something within that art direction. So the process is very similar. It just brings in a lot more people and a lot more eyes into your work, right? Whereas before I was just making the decisions myself, and then kind of explaining those to the client, whereas the client did not bring that much input. Now I'm working in a team, so a lot of people have eyes on my work, and also a lot of leadership has the eyes on my work. So it's really exciting and gets a lot of visibility.
That's awesome. And do you still do streaming?
Yes, I still stream. So they are trying to support that a lot. So I'm still streaming with Adobe Live and doing daily creative challenges. And I'm also now doing streams for Creative Cloud Express. So there is a lot going on still. And it's quite challenging to kind of manage this all because I don't want to be, I don't want to be doing side projects during my work hours. So I have to arrange around that, do the streams during my lunch break or before I start work.
Interesting. So do you feel like, first question, do you still have time working with other clients as a freelancer, or not? You're pretty much occupied?
Yeah, I'm very occupied full time, especially in the beginning phase where I was not just doing my work, but I also wanted to research about the company. And I suddenly got a lot of access to the internal platforms where there's a lot of information and a lot of cool things you can do, a lot of benefits and a lot of activities and so on within the company. So it took me a lot of time to really do my research on all of the organizational kind of part of Adobe while also doing my work. So now I'm kind of getting settled finally, because the first 3 months were quite intense because of that, right? But yeah, now I'm getting settled. Now I understand a little bit more how the whole system works and how to find out about things. And now I can I can also do some streaming on the side and get that also into one head.
Yeah. So now, like, you settled in, you probably get familiar with all the tools and platforms. Do you know, like, if there's like some underrated apps or tools from Adobe that we haven't really like fully utilized as designer or graphic designers?
Yeah, I think and I was just saying, I was streaming about the tool. It's a pretty new tool. It was formerly familiar as Adobe Spark, and now it's Creative Cloud Express. So they took the old product, improved it a lot, and launched it as Creative Cloud Express. And so this product, what it does is it helps basically create social media assets for people who are non-designers. And it's very similar to Canva, and there are a lot of templates, presets, and it comes as part of the Creative Cloud subscription. And I actually use this tool a lot as well when designing. And what I always do is I use this tool when I'm on my phone, for example, because there is a mobile app for that. And it's a really cool tool. I think everybody should try out, even if you don't even have an online business. Just maybe trying to build your online presence and want to have some consistency, but still want to spend some time on the couch watching movies. And I would always kind of create my social media assets in my free time, right? When I was not working with my freelance clients back then. So that was a really great tool to get off the screen and to get to another more entertaining screen and to just create social media assets whenever you want, even if you're like on a train or on a plane, whenever you're traveling. I think it's a really great tool to create posts on the go.
That's cool. So you said it's called Creative Express?
Creative Cloud Express.
Creative Cloud Express. Okay.
And you can find it on express.adobe.com.
Cool, got it. That sounds interesting, because like for the longest time, I feel like I guess a Spark kind of creates something for stories, fun, but like I haven't seen, like, I guess this is a tool for, like you said, for non-designer necessary, but like more regular creators. That's great. That's good news to hear Adobe now have a app that is so flexible that you can just create anything on the go. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think you can also create web pages on there. So I think you have some web pages included, and you can build web pages for free and then advertise a specific product or advertise, I don't know, something, whatever you want.
That's interesting. I have not seen anything like that before, web page. That's very cool. So do you, how, like, since you're so busy now, like how is like the time management like for you? What's your schedule? Are you like 9 to 5, or do you have more flexibility in terms of when to work during the day or during the week? Have you seen a huge change compared to while you're freelancing?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think now it's more about communicating with others, right? So we are a lot more on Slack, and we're always kind of communicating. I have to communicate to my team what I'm doing, so that there's full transparency about the work that we're about to do, and there's people supervising what I'm doing. So I have to kind of always report to them and always kind of give them the insight into my work. And whenever I have important meetings, I have to take notes. And so a lot of the day is taken up by the communication, right? So communicating that everybody knows what everybody's about to do, the planning, that everybody's aligned on a specific timeline. And there are so many things happening at the same time, because there are product launches, and then you have deadlines, and everybody has different deadlines. And then you might work with teams that are completely outside of your team. So it's very kind of cross-related between the different teams at Adobe. So the communication is super, super key, right? You need to be a good communicator, and really have a transparent workflow. Creating that also involves creating plans, creating documents, creating presentation files. So because of this transparency, and that everybody has to kind of communicate all the things with each other, that takes up a lot of the day. And the designing process is only a part of the day, of course, right? Because of that. So I would say my design process time has not changed much from before. But what's been added is this communication factor, right? So really communicating everything that I do, and attending meetings. There are a lot of really amazing educational meetings as well that I'm able to attend during my work hours. So yeah, I would say my work is quite different, and has a little bit more to do with administrative work, writing messages, writing emails, contacting the right people, attending important meetings. So I would say that's the change, but also a lot of the things are made easier because I have managers. I have somebody who oversees and reminds me if I forgot something, so there's never the case, Julia, you forgot to get in touch with this person, I would always know. And yeah, so I would say that's the main change. And another major change is also that my design process is way longer, right? Because I have way more time to create something. Whereas as a freelance designer, I was very kind of tied to very quick, short delivery deadlines. So clients wanted to have a whole brand identity in a month, for example, right? Whereas now I have so much more time to work on the different aspects of it, work with a brand team, and make sure that everything is on brand with our big spectrum guideline. It's like a huge design system that we have at Adobe. So I have to look at that as well. And then kind of, it has a lot of aspects to it, whereas before it was very simple and straightforward and in a short period of time.
That's cool. So that just makes me want to ask that, do you feel like this might be help with somebody who's freelancing now, maybe later I want to work for a big agency, or vice versa? So what are the pros and cons in your opinion, when like freelancing or like working for a bigger company as a graphic designer?
Yeah, I know there are obvious perks. So there is the security, right? You feel, you know, that you're going to have work at least for the next year. You know you're covered, or depending how long your contract is. My contract, for example, is until next year, December. So I know that until next year, December, I'm set. I don't need to worry about getting clients. I don't need to worry about maintaining my social media. I don't need to, although I still like to do that because I
Yeah.
think should not stop maintaining our online presence, because what happens when you let's say lose a job, or if you want to get back into freelancing at some point, you need to maintain that that online existence. But I think the main factors are you have more security. You don't have to worry as much about getting clients, about selling yourself, which I also always found super annoying when when a new client comes up to me and it's kind of like an interview, and I would at some point I would stop telling them, I would stop trying to impress them, and I would tell them, hey, do you like my work? You see my portfolio? If you don't, I have a lot of clients who are waiting to get a brand identity done. So then those clients will be like, no, let's get started. They get intimidated by that, I guess. But this thing of trying to impress somebody, I don't like at all. So I get rid of that, which is really awesome. And also having the resources. I think having a team, working with others, you have to either like it or not like it. And I found that I really like it because I've been working by myself for so long.
Yeah.
About 6 years of freelancing, you're just by yourself most of the time. Sometimes the client has one or two people here and there who are UI UX or marketing people or illustrators, and then I would art direct them. But most of the times it was me making decisions, and I didn't have a lot of eyes on my work, let's say, right?
Yeah.
Now we have this whole team, and I can get advice from our brand team, and I can connect with them and get in touch with them and see, what they can bring on ideas, and we kind of work on this idea together. So that is an amazing advantage that I found, working together with others. I just learned so much from others. I get inspired from others' workflows. Like I have this colleague right now who is working on the brand team, and he is doing a lot of illustration work, and he's drawing by hand and all of that. And I get so inspired. I also started drawing. I started painting more. I started doing more illustration. So you get inspired by colleagues, which is really, really awesome. And but what I liked as a freelancer is when you get all those different clients that you work with, and they're small to mid-sized businesses, so sometimes they don't even have a brand identity yet, and you create something really amazing and mind-blowing for them. So it changes a lot, right? Your work has a lot of influence, has a lot of influence on how their business goes. Sometimes can fail too. So you really are responsible for how their business goes, right? So that was the exciting part, to work with different kinds of clients, different industries, get to know about different industries, and get to know about different competitors, brands, researching. So that was also really fun. So they're a very different world, I would say. I would say freelancing is more like a lot of small bubbles. That's how I imagine it. And the one that I am in is one big bubble, and there are like small bubbles inside that bubble. So yeah, it's very interesting, and so far I really love it. Let's see how I feel in a year or two being employed. But so far I think I would also not change freelancing for just a full-time workplace, because I know a lot of my friends were very unhappy working even for companies like Google or Apple, where you think, wow, this must be so nice, so cool. But really, they were just overworking, and they did not get a lot of free time. They were always under pressure. And you also need to think about it in a sustainable way, right? How many years can you do that? So
totally.
have to be mindful of yourself. Take some time for yourself whenever you're taking on a position like that, and really take care of your mental health.
For sure.
Yeah. And so I think if it wasn't Adobe, I don't think I would have taken a full-time position. But since I have worked with them, contracted with
Yeah.
them past, I know how the work culture is. So
Yeah.
I'm not disappointed so far. I'm really happy.
Yeah, that's great. I love that you can get that like a sense of taste of how would it be working with Adobe before you work them for full time. So I think that's really important. And I completely understand what you're saying, that like coming from working straight as a freelancer for 6 years, it feels nice that you're now having all the coworkers, you have a community, you have like these huge open resources and platforms you can utilize on. So I love that. This is next question is not directly really related to your full-time job now, but it's more for people who are like solopreneurs, small business owners who might want to jump from like, oh, I am just only like a DIY now on Canva, but maybe my next step is hiring a branding designer to do my brand and identity. But I feel like a lot of first timers, they don't really necessarily knows what is the range of pricing, or like how much they should like roughly saving up for until they can even like work for a branding designer. Obviously, it depends on what type of branding designer you are hiring, if it's a one person, if it's a team, or if it's agency. But I kind of want to give people an idea of like, oh, if I want to just some bare minimal or to like maximum branding, like what is the range people should be expecting and saving up for, in your opinion?
Yeah. And the good thing is that I can also give you a range from agencies, which I am also familiar with, which is also a big difference. And you have to think about an agency as having a lot of resources, having a lot of experience with bigger brands, and being a solopreneur or a freelancer like I was for a while, as somebody who can focus on one thing and pull it through. Me working by myself will be, of course, way less expensive, right? An agency, you would always pay so much more, just because they always have an office most of the times, right? So they have to pay for the office, then they have to pay all the employees, and the employees, by the way, agencies don't pay really well, but they do charge a lot for design projects. And so if you want to go with an agency, I would only go with an agency if you want multiple services, like let's say branding and then marketing, like a marketing campaign straight off the new brand identity and so on. So that's when when your brand is already established, when you're already having a lot of income through your business, that's when I might consider an agency. And if you're going, and agencies usually for branding projects, I would say like 15 to 20K, around that kind of thing. There's also, and Claire, this would also be interesting for you. There was this agency called Haveroff in New York, and they closed the agency because they wanted to change the industry. They wanted to do something else, not because they were not successful. They were very successful, but they've published this really huge drive folder, and there you can see all the insights, pricing for different services that they had, organizational stuff and so on. So it's really cool to look into that. And that's where I kind of get an idea. And also from my past clients who came to me and were like, hey, so this agency charges 15K, why do you charge 10? So what makes the difference? And so so that's kind of how I got my insight. But yes, for a brand identity, I would say usually about like 15 to 20K. That's not counting the website and not counting the marketing services. So that's kind of the range, but only if you already are very, very set with your business. If you're just starting out and you just want a logo, you don't want an identity, you don't want no strategic stuff, that you can get done for $250 or $300.
Which I don't recommend.
I
feel
don't
like
recommend that because only a logo is not going to solve your problem. It's not going to address your target audience. It's not going to do anything for you. Literally, it's just an image, right? It's just a little a PNG in the best case. Right. So that I would say like $250 to $500, depending on the designer. Maybe it's a really good designer, and I don't know why the good designers don't call themselves branding designers, but call themselves logo designers, because if you're designing a logo, you're doing the research anyway, you're doing the branding part anyway. So I don't quite understand. It's quite old-fashioned, I would say, to call yourself a logo designer these days. Branding designers are quite strategic. They will do some research. They will give you your competitor analysis, and they will try to understand the market and then give you a solution that makes you stand out as a business and not just be like one of many, right? So then there is this logo designer, then there is a branding designer who is not very experienced, right? Maybe like 1 or 2 years freelancing, straight out of school, maybe, or maybe did like a year in the company and then didn't like it and then became a freelancer. So there I'll probably count around like maybe 2 to 5K to something like that, around that price range. Also depends on your experience. Maybe they have already worked with a big brand and have created an amazing brand identity and have all that experience. So that's that. And then there is the branding designer who is also an art director. So if you have they can help you, let's say, apply the brand identity to all the different aspects of your brand, right? So they can help you guide the UI UX. They can help you guide the illustrator for your brand, right? And work with others and create this one big thing. So that's already, I would say, like 7.5K to 10K. And then there are some that also, like me, I would also offer other services like packaging design. So most of my clients have a specific product already, and then I would do the whole kind of thing for them. And that would be branding, packaging, art direction, maybe work also with somebody in marketing. And mostly I would do art direction, right? So I would help bring a brand guideline to life and then help apply that brand guideline across the board. So across UX, illustration, and so on. So yeah, so there are different kind of
tiers,
groups of design, levels of designer. And what I would look into, though, there are some designers who don't have a lot of experience who are very, very good, though, and very, very popular because of a specific style they have, for example. Or maybe they have worked with an amazing agency and they have all of that experience in just 1 year. That could also be possible. So always make sure to understand, what do you want from the designer? Do you want them to art direct? Or do you have someone who can art direct them, right? So if you have like somebody like a brand strategist who can help you direct the designer, then you don't need to hire a designer who's an art director as well.
Yeah.
So it always depends on your needs, and there's a huge range of what you can pay, and huge range of platforms. I know like some of the businesses are using Fiverr, which I do not recommend. There is a lot of fake work out there. So even if you see this amazing profile and their work looks amazing, they might have just taken it from somebody else, right? It's very, very common. Then a level up to Fiverr, there is Upwork, which has some pretty good designers for specific purposes, like let's say creating presentations or creating specific kind of graphics, even websites and so on. And that's a very low cost option, but that's a little bit better than Fiverr. So yeah, and then I would say the next step would be hiring a specific designer. And I would even look, a lot of the designers these days have a presence on Instagram. So I would go on Instagram and maybe even ask somebody, hey, do you know a good freelance designer that you recommend? Or maybe your friend has a business as well and they have a really good designer that they can recommend.
Yeah.
So I would definitely search online, look through the website, look through their work, maybe even try Behance. There is an amazing search
I love
function.
Behance. Yeah. I think Behance is probably most easiest one. You can find some legit designers without going
Yeah,
through a bunch of unqualified people.
yeah. And it has also this portion of the website where it's actually made for you as somebody who's hiring, right? So you can write to multiple people and you will have an overview who has responded, who you've hired, who you've not hired, and so on. So it gives you good kind of organization options for hiring someone.
That's awesome. I love that. I felt like I my experience of working with agencies or branding designer is because I've previously worked for a early stage tech startup. So I like went through the process of hiring agency to do our branding and stuff. So my experience is if you tell them you're are like a Silicon Valley brand who has the funding, most of the time you're gonna expect at least 40K, 50K. If you ask the top tier agencies, it's about over 100K. And if you ask really top agency, like the world winning agency, that's gonna be like 300K plus. But that's
Mhm.
also it's full, very complete packaging that it's probably have some copywritings, probably have some marketing strategies. It has a lot more website. It's like a completely full service. That's
Mhm.
why a lot of people were complaining for like these brands who has funding that they don't really have much of a soul anymore because you can just pay like 300K, 150K to these huge agencies, and then they just do everything for you. So you can literally sell anything because it's really good branding and packaged really well. And so that gets a little bit of a sad in the end because it just makes me feel like, oh, the product itself is not even that important anymore as long as you have the money to pay for a huge agency to do your whole identity, which is
Yeah,
really well.
the product has to be good too, right? The product
Yeah.
has to be good. And you might have a good wave in the beginning where people are like buying and buying the product. The question is, how sustainable is this product? How long will it remain on the market, right? You might be successful for 3 months, 3 to 6 months, but then your product might not even be popular anymore and people might not even like it anymore because
Yeah.
it's a product that's let's say trendy, and then it's out of trend and nobody wants to use it anymore,
Yeah.
right? So that's another thing. There's definitely It definitely matters what kind of product you sell, although I have seen a lot of products where I'm like, what is this, who even buys this? And then it just looks really, really cool and really amazing and well branded. So yeah, branding plays an important role in the product. That's definitely true. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that insights. I think a lot of people are wanted to hear that, and a lot of people will find out that it's really helpful to know there's different tiers, and you can go as low as you can. But like we do not recommend that because it's if you do that, then it's probably just the best that you just do something on your own on Canva, and until you save out a little bit of money. And I definitely recommend hiring a really legit, at least like experienced, or having like you said, having like a couple years of experiences, but have really good eye, really have honed in their own style. I found that type of freelancing designers also could be really good fit for you because they don't charge a huge amount of money, but they can deliver really good identity for you.
And Claire, I would maybe not look for the specific style that they've developed and are holding, because what makes a good branding designer is that they can develop a style for every single of their clients, right? You don't want to have the same style as the previous client.
Right.
So make sure to look for someone who knows about strategy, who does research on competitors and so on. If you ask them for their services and they mention brand strategy and in some way, this is going to be an amazing designer for you, because they will really, and if you also like their visual styles from the previous projects and you see every product that they have worked on has their own kind of life and feels like a different product, that's what makes a good brand designer, because they will be able to really identify an identity for your specific product rather than just applying a style that they've developed, right?
That's true. That's really true. That's why the higher tier agency always charge the big bucks. Because when you review their website and the portfolio is it's completely different. It's so you can't tell it's coming from a same agency, but also in the same, that agency probably have like 30 designers to do different type of work. So I think that's a really good reminder for everybody that to look for something very, if you want your branding really unique, and then the person you want to hire needs to be capable of design really different identity for different, according to different client. Do you have any, before we're wrapping up everything, do you think there's any good tips for people who wanted to start freelancing as a graphic designer or branding designer, where they're even start, or what should they be like keeping up with, who they should be following, or what platform they should be following, kind of gaining the knowledge as they are working towards to their goal?
Yeah, that's a very, very great question. And I get that question a lot. So where do I even start, right? And mostly I get that question from somebody who is almost finished with their university and they're trying to kind of apply for jobs, but also they're considering becoming a freelancer. Or maybe you're a self-taught designer and you want to be a freelancer. So it all depends on your knowledge level. If you don't have much design experience yet, I would definitely work on passion projects. That's how I started freelancing. And what I would do is I would imagine myself a product, let's say a beverage or a cosmetics brand or something, and design a full-on package for that specific imaginary business, right? So I will go in and design packaging, design illustrations, design a whole brand identity, and then mock it up in different ways, create, let's say, a prototype of a website, just landing page. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but just to imagine as if this product is already real. And that also includes to not use lorem ipsum, so fake copy, but actually writing out the copy and making it like as if this business already exists. All right. And then you build out 3 to 5 projects like that. And that also makes you understand what kind of businesses do you want to work for as a freelancer. That's also another really great way to focus on a specific industry, right? Finding out who you want to work for is so crucial, because then you can actually attract the right people to your freelance business, right? And once you have developed those projects, those passion projects, and make sure you really love what you're doing there, and make sure you love the product, because then the people who are coming from the same industry, they will see that, they'll be like, wow, this is such a great product and mine is so similar. And so they will be able to identify with you through that specific passion project, through this fake business, right? And so that's how you start building a portfolio. I would say build yourself a Behance portfolio, then of that build yourself a website. I have, for example, this Behance portfolio website that they offer. It's called Adobe Portfolio, and it comes with a Creative Cloud subscription. Okay, I don't want to advertise for Adobe right now, but it's really cool. It's really cool. It's free, and it gives you the opportunity to put your portfolio onto Behance, and it automatically gets updated onto that website, right? So that's a really great way to do that without a lot of effort, because building a website from scratch, like somewhere on Squarespace and so on, it takes so long, and then you have to update it every single time, and then you change your mind, and then you want to change the style, but then you have to rebuild the whole thing from scratch. So I don't recommend that if you're just starting out. Then platforms like Dribble are also really good. Clients are looking out there as well. So first thing is create yourself some passion projects, put them out there, and build your social media presence as well. Based off those projects, maybe you will do some additional projects, or maybe some fun sketches that you can put onto your Instagram. But keep your Instagram personable. Don't just put out your work, but also put up how you are producing this work, right? Because clients don't only want to see your work, they want to get to know the person behind it, the person that they're going to be working with so intensely, right? Because every single freelance client of mine, we got to know each other so well. So that's another thing. Yeah, so to summarize it, create yourself passion projects, put them out there onto platforms like Behance, create yourself a website of that, and build your social media presence on, I would say, Instagram or Twitter, posting about your work, posting about how you're producing your work, posting about every kind of event that you're doing. Maybe you're speaking at some place, or yeah.
Interesting you said Twitter. I actually didn't know that Twitter is actually good for branding designers. That's new for me.
Yeah, so I would say Twitter is more so to share specific opinions on branding. That's what I do. So yeah, Twitter is more to share specific opinions, and then there's also LinkedIn that you can also make use of. So LinkedIn, on LinkedIn you can connect more with the professional world, and more, maybe somebody wants to hire you for a longer term project, right? So keep your options open, use as many platforms as possible in their specific ways, right? So LinkedIn more for like articles, maybe you're having some events, some more professional. Instagram personable, and a lot of images of your work, and Twitter, share your opinions, be opinionated about design, and connect with other designers there.
Yeah, wow, I love that. I love that whole process. I feel like if I were fresh out of college and know now exactly where to start. I love that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it for the early morning. And